A great and saintly woman said, "I'm not anti-war, I am pro-peace." Hi, I'm Rabbi Donn, and this is session 2 of Lifnei Iver. If we had our choice, we'd focus on the positive, on things that we strive to do, but at times we need to identify the negative, those things that we need to stay away from. In Judaism, we have a famous adage, Sur me'rava aseh tov, go away from the bad and assume the good. In the Sefer Lifnei Iver, in the introduction, and throughout the book, numerous violations and violence that's taking place against animals is enumerated and specified. So, if you have a copy of Lifnei Iver, please open it up to page 9. And he begins with the ruling rendered by Rav Yosef Chaim in his book Ben Ish Chai, a very famous book within the Sephardi community. All birds and animals, if slaughtered before another, its lungs will shrink or shrivel because of the fear it experiences. And the established rule states, a lung that is fully or even partially shrunken, if caused by humans who frightened the animal, example, another animal was slaughtered before it or the like, this animal is ruled to be TREIF. So, if an animal is frightened by something that the humans did, if it sees another animal that's being shechted in front of it, this animal, before it even reaches the shochet's knife, is declared TREIF. Now, this opens up an unbelievable area of investigation. There's a ruling that recently came down by the OU that they finally said that the practice of shackle and hoist, which is when cows are in the process of being slaughtered, they chain up two of their legs, hoist it up, hang it, and the conveyor belt takes it around. In the meantime, before they reach the bitter end, they're crying and screaming and making all sorts of terrible sounds because, first of all, they're in pain. They know what their fate is going to be. And clearly, the way the Ben Ish Chai describes it, their lungs have shrunken and shriveled. And these animals are treif even before they are dead. Now, this practice has been going on at least for 60 years. And I have a publication in which my father wrote in 1965. He wrote about shackle and hoist. And unfortunately, he was on the wrong side of the argument. But I know for a fact that the OU has allowed shackle and hoist since 1965. And it is quite possible, therefore, that for all those years, many, many, many Jews have been eating treif meat. And if anyone takes their kashrus seriously, and many people do, this will be a shocker. You know, people will take a microscope and try to find bugs that they can't see with their naked eye. But these incredible violences and violations against animals are ignored like they don't even exist. We're not talking here about kindness to animals. We're not talking here about the health benefits of not eating meat. We're not talking about the environmental benefits. We're talking here about whether something is kosher or treif. And so many people go mahadrin, they go above and beyond what is required. And yet, shackle and hoist has been prevalent throughout the Jewish community's meat eating in the processing for over 60 years. This to me is an absolute outrage, and it's scandalous. Let's jump back in. Therefore, in large towns where many people congregate to have their chickens slaughtered, and the shochet slaughters the birds before them, while they hold the live birds in their arms, there is concern that the chicken's lungs will shrivel as well as causing undue pain to the animal. Tsar Balei Chaim, when an animal knows that it's going to be killed, and an animal knows it's going to be killed, and every animal wants to live. If If you ever tried stepping on an ant, you know that even the little ant wants to live. So certainly a chicken or another animal, they all want to live. And when it knows that its life is in danger, that the knife is waiting for it, you're causing tsar ba'alei chayim. So according to the Ben Ish Chai, what he would do, people should therefore stand a distance away from the shochet so that the chickens will not see others being slaughtered and be aware of their own fate. Now, I will link to this video, a video that was sent to me from Israel. And this is very, very interesting. The video shows former shochtim, people who were slaughterers, who functioned in that task in Israel. Guys with beards and hats, very frum people. And they're watching undercover video of the slaughterhouses in Israel. And as they look and see the procedures of what's being done and how it's being done, they keep on saying, that's not allowed, that's not allowed, that's not allowed. And you hear them say, I'm never eating meat again, because it's all TREIF. They're not following the laws. And this is it's not an easy video to watch, but if you have the stomach for it, you will see that there is amazing violations going on, and people acting as though everything that they eat is kosher. Now, the style of Lifnei Iver is to make a point and then pound it in, and he'll bring other sources. Thus wrote Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margolis, I have seen people who come to the shochet holding birds while standing around and next to him, so that they will be next to have their birds slaughtered. People, edging in, to become first, to move in on the line. And this causes undue pain to animals, tsar ba'alei chayim. And there is no greater pain than this, meaning when an animal knows and is cognizant of its end, that is going to die, there is no greater pain than this. It is obvious that we cannot claim that birds do not feel pain, for it is stated in chapter 36, at times, that's of the Shulchan Aruch, at times the lungs shrivel due to fear of seeing the animal ahead of it being slaughtered. So again, this idea of one animal seeing another, and really that's the rationale for the mitzvah of covering up the blood, kisui dam, because an animal smells blood and it knows what blood is. And we'll see through the book the intelligence that animals have. Continuing, we also see this ruling prohibiting the slaughter of one living creature before another due to causing undue pain and suffering, tsar ba'alei chayim, by the Rabbi Michael Halevi Epstein, the author of Aruch HaShulchan. In his words, thus it is proper for shochets to be careful not to slaughter one animal in front of another, for there is the issue of causing undue pain to animals, tsar ba'alei chayim, a very significant and important halacha. It is God's rule. It's not optional. It is absolutely forbidden, and some of the great achronim have written this as well. You see that those people who were involved in this work back in the day, 100 years ago and more, when regular people would bring their animals to be slaughtered, these laws were carefully kept. But today, because we have this factory, and as you'll see in this video, the animals, the sheep, are literally stacked up against each other. There is no distance between the animals. You've seen it in chickens. You've seen probably videos of what goes on in Brooklyn right before Yom Kippur. For Kaparos, you see all of these things are violations to the law. So we're not making up rules here. We're not saying, be kind to animals. We're just saying you're not even producing kosher meat. You're eating TREIF, which again brings teeth into the statement that the only proper and true kosher is a vegan-based diet. In today's kosher slaughterhouses, the slaughtering process is not carried out in accordance with Jewish halachic law. The process is carried out in a factory-like conveyor belt manner, and by design, each animal is slaughtered directly in front of the next. Again, we can go blue in the face talking about the health benefits, the environmental benefits, the moral benefits. But we're just talking the people who eat meat, their language, Look, I am very machmir on my kashrus. I've always been very, very machmir. What does it mean? It means that you take it seriously, that you take it diligently, and that you don't turn a blind eye, that you want to know how your food is produced. You want to know where it came from, what's in it. We who are health conscious, we look for organic. We want to know where it came from. We want to know the family story on everything that we eat. And yet people who, when you describe how meat is produced, they don't want to know. But they claim to be so frum and so on top of things and so machmir, and yet they really are not machmir. This is not a knock. We understand and we have compassion for these people. At the same time, they're eating TREIF meat by many, many opinions. Okay, so again, the idea of this vlog is to go through and highlight some of the key points, some that you can use in discussing a vegan-based lifestyle. And because ultimately we are seeking truth. We want to keep God's word the best way possible. We're not trying to create some new religion or skirt, the laws, or try to get around, cut corners. On the contrary, we are interested in keeping God's word as carefully and as mindfully as possible. So if somebody, or if the meat coming down from the slaughterhouses is not kosher, you have to sur meirah. You have to step away from it. It's not kosher. There's nothing to debate. And just because it has a label on it, it means nothing. If you've seen the videos, and you will see this video, and it's irrefutable. You can't say anything. Plus, I will link at either to this or at a later date. There's a video of at least seven rabbis in Israel, from Hasidic to modern, very, very reasonable people who no longer eat meat. And the reason is because they know there is no kosher meat. Just the last point, and I believe we'll cover it, the Pele Yoetz, who lived in the early 1800s, went around to all the slaughterhouses that he knew of in his town, and he stopped eating meat. And in the 1800s already, he said, there is no thing as kosher meat. Okay, so again, in the style of this vlog, I'm going to give you interesting information. I'm going to give you what some people would think is incendiary information. It's Talmud Torah, it's learning the truth, and learning it with the filter that is really the filter, the way of seeing things that many, many rabbis have set out in front of us. If you have any questions, you can pose them underneath the video, of course, and looking forward to session 3.